Hey man, real stay safe shit. You already know what the fuck going on. Before we get into this shit, like, comment, subscribe. We gonna get into it now. Let's go. So, fucking Travis Scott, he spoke out for the first time since the astroworld situation, and it's more than just the shit on his story. And in this sort of interview, he actually sat down with Charlemange the God, and he basically talks about everything that happened in astroworld. He says that he basically had no idea what was happening. Like, he basically says that he had no idea. He had an earpiece in and he was listening to the crowd, and he was just like fucking like so into it. He says like he would basically stop any type of show with any type of people, and like he would stop everything that's happening and like listen to them. If he ever had any such type of situation with his fans, like ever, he would always do that. And I feel like this interview, I feel like this nigga made a major mistake in saying some shit, and they already are kind of ripping this nigga. The lawyer at least is kind of already saying that this nigga was making excuses. But I don't know, in his defense, he was saying that like he had an earpiece in and it was music coming in. I feel like he kind of caught himself in the actual interview at the very beginning. He says like I had an earpiece in and music, and he basically says that he had an earpiece in music and he couldn't hear like people screaming and stuff. The lawyer's defense, they're saying that he was tripping because he had actual like sight. He could line of sight that he could see the people getting trampled and shit and getting carried out, and he was continuing. And I feel like the lawyer has a point there, like there is, but like also it's a crowd full of 50,000 people. It's not like you're gonna see people, but it looked like it was directly in front of him from like some shots that people have with like cameras and shit like that. But I feel like his major mistake was he even acknowledging the earpiece, and people were saying it for like he should say that for fucking basically like I guess they were trying to say that he should say that for his defense. But honestly, I feel like that kind of makes it seem more sus, because people are gonna say like, I feel like music does come in, but I think you get some type of directions in your earpiece too from like the production, like, or just like the people that are in charge of the event in general. So I feel like people are gonna say that because he was actually hearing stuff inside of his ears, like he could actually hear people saying that people had died. But that argument is not right, because like that was kind of like what the lawyer was saying, but I don't really think that argument is valid, because I saw that a lot of like police officers, I made a video on this previously, but a whole bunch of police officers were still fucking recording him vibing out, like watching Travis Scott in the pit. And they were doing this like 20 minutes after a mass casualty event was like announced. So that just means that like there was not really clear enough indication. And I don't really think that there was, it seems like because of the whole situation was kind of fucked, there was not really like communication between the team, the like paramedics and shit, and the production, and then Travis Scott. Like that's already 3 layers of people, and it's like it's separated in between. It's probably like one person talks to one person, and then like the only person in his ear is probably one person, like his manager or some shit like that. It's like he's kind of a couple levels separated from everything that's happening in the crowd, because he's like the one performing. So it's not like he's even in the right mind to even think about that shit. So it's kind of interesting to see in the interview, like he kind of talks about how he is and his whole like mindset on everything, and he seems pretty bummed out. He says he hasn't left his room and shit like that. He says he'd just be like in the cut. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it could either be a really good idea that he comes out with the interview, or it could be a really bad idea. I mean, people are already hating on it, saying like it looked like it was a hot box room or some shit, which has nothing to do with anything, because niggas could be smoking because they're stressed and shit. It's nigga dealing with $10 billion worth of lawsuits. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in the trial, whenever the fuck that is, probably next year or whatever. So man, I mean, what do you think in the comments? Do you think that it's Travis Scott's fault, or you think that it was like a freak accident that he could have stopped? I don't know at this point, man. But real stay safe shit. You already know what the fuck going on. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and go cop some fucking merch. Link in my description. Yes sir. Oh yeah, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It's all below. Peace.